businesses of today and the future will be what we are calling the conscious business. Their leaders will be aware of more than numbers, products, and profit. Their leaders will be truly committed to best practice in social value, people care, equality, and diversity and sustainability, not just because they have to, but because they want to. After all, it's said that today, it's not what you do, but who you are that brings you the customers. At BizVision, we believe that one important virtue of the conscious business will be how it lives and delivers its equality agenda, especially in encouraging and providing the right career growth for women. I want you to know what's happening in the world of what is often called the gender agenda in business. And so who better to ask than the Pro Vice Chancellor for Enterprise and Business Engagement at Teesside University, Professor Jane Turner. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you, Malcolm, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to give my voice to this very important agenda.
It is an important agenda, Jane, and something where we need to clear some mystery. You're extremely knowledgeable in this, as I say, so-called gender agenda arena. What's the present state of play in the UK, say, compared to other countries? Are we moving in the right direction, especially in the boardroom?
Unfortunately, according to the latest finding of the Global Gender Gap Report of 2020, none of us will see gender parity in our lifetimes. That's across education, health, politics, and in business. Nor likely will many of our children. And it suggests gender parity will not be attained for another 99 and a half years.
That's frightening, isn't it?
It is very sobering. So the UK has fallen 6 places down the global rankings for gender equality. And despite successive prime ministers pledging to take decisive action to tackle the gender imbalances in politics and the wider British society, the UK has dropped from the 15th most equal nation in the world to the 21st. So the World Economic Forum said Albania, Canada, Costa Rica, Latvia, Switzerland, South Africa, and Spain had all leapfrogged the UK across those 4 areas in the last audit in 2018. And Iceland is ranked as the nation closest to achieving gender parity, followed by Norway, Finland, and Sweden. And the World Economic Forum suggests the UK has performed poorly because women were sparsely represented in politics, although that has changed recently. But men on average are still paid a lot more than women. And we do know as a result of the COVID pandemic that women have been much more impacted than men. So that statistic around pay will become even more challenging for women. So our gender gap comes in at 58th worldwide, brought down by big gaps in, as I've said, estimated earned income of women compared to men, and straightforward wage inequality. And there are also massive inequalities in almost all of the UK's fastest growing job clusters, so cloud computing, engineering, and artificial intelligence. And if I turn to the boardroom, as of a year ago, only 7% of FTSE 100 companies had a female chief exec at the helm. For FTSE 250, there were even fewer female CEOs with just 5. There are over 900 women now serving on FTSE 350 boards, so there is an ever-increasing pool of women with board experience, yet only 25 have been appointed into a chair role, and even fewer again as women CEOs, which is obviously an ongoing challenge. And the number of all male executive committees in the FTSE 350 is currently 44, and that remains largely unchanged from 2018. So it's not a particularly positive picture, although the target that was set, the 30% club set a target of 30% female representation on FTSE 350 boards and 30% women in senior management positions at FTSE 100 companies by 2020. That first objective of FTSE 350 was achieved in September last year, and the latter is very close to crossing the line. But yeah, the bigger picture, there is still some way to go.
So what's holding back change in UK companies? Is it tradition, fear of their own job loss, lack of knowledge, or old-fashioned thinking about women and full-time careers?
I think it's a combination of all those things. But if I look at particularly fear of change, fear of the unknown, societal influences, we need a significant shift in attitudes and beliefs around stereotypes, gender norms, call them what you will, regarding the role of women. And our cultural attitudes play a strong role in influencing the status of women in society and work. And we have different cultures, diversity of cultures in the UK, as do most countries, and trying to bring those together to challenge the attitudes among both men and women to shape that level of gender parity is necessary and is certainly desirable within each society. And I would suggest that those gender biases, those norms, undermine our social fabric and certainly our economic potential. That it's an utter waste of half of the world's human potential. And political, economic and social equality for women benefits all of us, all of the world's citizens, but we have to work together so we can eradicate prejudice and work for equal rights and respect for everybody.
By the way, as part of our work here at BizVision, our BVTV channels, we have a real policy on quota, which my wife polices and says to those people putting forward names, sorry, we've got our quota of males. It's hard to find, mind, the really dynamic, but we have been doing so. I remember just recently interviewing the chief executive of Ormond Jane Perfumery, one of the top perfumeries in the world, Linda Pilkington, who after 20 years is still running her own business and is fought back and is running that dynamically. And I'm constantly meeting some dynamic women VPs, CEOs, and thought leaders who are impressive with their ideas and actions. So I truly know what they're contributing. But please tell viewers what you personally think a woman executive brings to a board.
And I can talk from personal experience here in terms of exec boards that I've been involved in and continue to be involved in. And I would say some discipline, some decisiveness, focus, compassion, constructive challenge, greater levels of empathy, which are extremely helpful in terms of your customer and supporting their needs, and an ability to lift their heads a little higher, I guess, in terms of longer term thinking and being more innovative, I would say, in my experience.
I totally agree with you, by the way. I think I have my best interviews, more exciting, dynamic interviews when I'm interviewing women executives. How do we lay to rest, though, that old-fashioned thinking of male-only boards? What do you think will be the real catalyst for change?
Again, I think this has to be tackled from a number of angles. Empowering younger women to find their voice, and we do a lot of work around that agenda in the Tees Valley through mentoring, through coaching, finding positive role models who will promote the impact or the power of women, both male and female mentors, but sharing evidence of the for example, the gender pay gap report. There are no consequences that other than just the need to report that data. So again, we need further intervention, I guess, political intervention, policies, and some lobbying around those agendas as well. So there's not a silver bullet here, but there's definitely something about empowering and helping women to find their voice so they have greater influence to enable the catalysts for change.
Excellent. So how does Teesside University help create the women leaders of tomorrow? Where's your focus and support?
Well, I'm gender champion for the university, so I've been in that role for almost 5 years, and we have done a great deal. I'll just give you some quick examples. One of our organisations, businesses in the Tees Valley, Tees Business, or Comms Business, they launched the first ever Business Women Awards 2 years ago. And I saw it advertised in the magazine 6 months before the award ceremony, and I just picked up the phone and said, I really want to talk to you about this. So they came to meet me, and I just asked them what their ideas were for it, why they were doing it, where they were intending to host it, how many numbers. And I really just said, you need to think big, you need to be bolder, you need to think quality here. And they had the first awards 2 years ago. They had 350 women. Last year, they had around 500 women and men at the award ceremony. But what I really struggled to find since I joined the university was, where were the female leaders in the Tees Valley region? They were just hidden. And I did say to these guys from Tees Business, if I see another man on the front of your weekly magazine, I will scream. And they said back to me, but we can't find the female leaders. They're just not visible. So that really created and galvanized a community and a network of women. I then have just partnered with the Girls Network, which is a national charity, and we are developing female leaders in the region as mentors, and they will go out in the first instance and mentor 100 young girls from the Tees Valley region. We know mentoring has a massive impact on the outcomes and career aspirations of young girls. We run STEM events at the university, and we're launching a campaign this autumn along with our business leader community. For International Women's Day this year, we had 100 young girls from the region in the university for a couple of days, and they made pledges about what they wanted to see change in their environment and the challenges that they had. And we then asked the business leaders to make some pledges back about how they would address the challenges our young girls face. So that campaign goes live this autumn. And then I also do a lot of work with Simone Roche, who's the founder of Northern Power Women. And we're just currently doing some research around what the leadership that people have experienced through COVID. So we're tackling it from all angles, but I'm constantly banging the drum for gender equality in the Tees Valley region. And it has been a challenge, and I have had a lot of pushback sometimes from men and women, but we just keep going because we know it's the right thing to do for the reasons I've just given in terms of the statistics.
I applaud you in that, and we're trying to play our part. And as I say, if somebody says, "Can we recommend a speaker to appear on one of your shows?" we tell them, we're looking for women, and it works, because we just tell them, and they say, "Oh, all right then," So finally, Jane, let's imagine that one of my CEO dynamic viewers is nodding away to everything you've said, but he has an all-male board who are resistant to having women on their board. But he now wants change, and he knows he needs change. Please give him 3 persuasive points he can use that will deliver the change his board needs and to start board equality.
Well, I'd first start by asking him a question of why is he overlooking 50% of the human potential in the board that he currently has. But in terms of 3 persuasive points, firstly, I'd say gender inequality is an extremely pressing moral and social issue, but it's also a critical economic challenge. So if women don't achieve their full economic potential, the economy suffers. So for him to step up and take a lead, but also to get under the skin of what is the issue here on this board and why are they not willing to acknowledge that or open their minds to even have that conversation. 2, some statistics around better gender balance on board equals better share price, higher financial performance, and research undertaken for the last 10 years shows that boards with a higher than average percentage of women, they actually outperform those with fewer than average by 36%. And then finally, more gender balanced leadership equals better all-round performance. And companies with more women in leadership increase the focus on governance, corporate responsibility, talent dynamics, and market acuity. And I could go on. Positive correlation between GDP per capita and gender equality, more equality, more productivity, and direct gains. Male-dominated industries could increase their productivity in many countries, as an example, from 3 to 25% through improved female workforce participation.